Hello again, welcome to another Isadora video tutorial. My name is Sam Meach. This is the third video roughly in a series looking at introductions to camera tracking techniques. I recommend you go back and look at the previous videos if you've not. They're very simple, very short, but they should give you a better understanding of some of the tools we're using. Again, I'm going to be looking referring to my model here of 5 stages of camera tracking, starting with firstly the input, which is the source of the camera feed, which is my webcam in this case. The filter, that's how we treat the camera feed to get a certain kind of data. Number 3 is measurement. What are we measuring about that camera feed or that data, what we're looking for. Number 4 is the calibration. That's where we tighten up the process and think about how we scale that value up or down. And finally, number 5, the output, what we're going to do with that information when we get it. So this is what we made in the last session, and we introduced the eyes actor as our tool for measurement. So the eyes actor is a very powerful tool. You can see it produces a lot of different types of data, from the brightness of the image to the position of the object, that's these two, and even the object size and velocity. I'm not going to get into detail of those, but I'm more interested in the stuff beforehand, which is the filter. How do we use different filters to get different types of camera tracking? So you'll notice this one we were using the difference actor, this difference actor, which highlights any movement or any changes between frames. Let's say it highlights them white, and the eyes actor then tries to track the brightest thing. So the eyes actor in this instance is tracking movement, which is great because it's a very simple way to get some tracking going on an XY position. However, when I stop, it can be a bit lost as to what it's supposed to track or where that is. So we're going to look at a different approach now that doesn't look at movement but looks at position, and has a very clever way, or very simple way, to get rid of the background and track someone even if they're not moving. So let's get rid of the difference actor, and just for now I'm going to get rid of these two, so we're not I'm going to turn this off so we're not tracking anything. So I've got my raw camera feed here, and I'm going to put a new tool in here called freeze, and let's hook this up and see what it does. So it doesn't do anything immediately. We have to tell it to do something, and you'll notice in the input here it's got a grab option. This is a trigger. So this could be set to a key press, but I'm going to just click it manually now. So watch happens when I click grab. It takes an image. We notice this red wire here. That means there's no information going down it. So what the freeze does is it grabs an image and it holds on to it. It doesn't need to update the video feed 25 times a second. The way we update it is by just simply clicking that grab again, and so you can see, kind of get this very basic animation if I keep clicking it. Why is this useful? Well, this is a way to take a picture of an image and store it so that we can then compare it to a new image that's happening in real time. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to take a picture of the background. Okay, I'm going to alter my camera position. So I'm tilting my webcam back so I can get out of the way. Okay, so I've managed to get a picture of just the background without me in it. So that's going to be useful because we're now going to compare it to the live image coming through, and we're going to highlight the changes and the difference between those two images, and that will give us our object to track. So the tool we're going to use for this isn't the basic difference actor, it's the effect mixer, and I'll show you why. So let's see, let's take the image from freeze and we're going to compare that to the raw image coming from my flip actor, and if we hook these up to the projector, what we can see is that the effect mixer composites that previous image of the background without me in it and the live image with me in it now. By default it's using this add over blend mode, but we're gonna change this to right to the top to difference. Okay, so now we've got this kind of ghostly version of me, and if I get out of the way it goes completely black, but when I appear we can see me. That's important because I am the object now in front of the background and we've got something to track. There are some changes just broadly around me as well. That's to do with the camera's auto exposure. The way around that is to use another camera or to use an app that can manage auto exposure and manual settings. But for now, let's just focus on this principle of here's the object that's been revealed. And let's take that as a feed into the eyes actor. Okay, so the eyes actor now has spotted me, this ghostly me, as the object, and even when I'm still, I'm there. But it's also getting a bit of that background as well, and that's again because the background's sort of being adjusted by the auto exposure of the camera. So we're going to have to turn the threshold up. So our calibration in this case is working with the threshold. So at the minute it's at 10. Let's bring that up and see if we can get rid of some of that background and shrink that bounding box just to me. Okay, that's better. So now it's just on me, on my hand. Okay, and even when I'm still, it finds me. It's not having a problem tracking me there. So again, all of these things, they're not a perfect science. Calibration is about trying to get the best with what you've got. Obviously, the more you can take control by using different cameras, controlling the lighting, etc., that's great. But the basic principle is just being prepared to adjust and recalibrate and see if you can maximize. Even, you know, this is a very crude example with the webcam, but I should be able to get something from this. So let's try. Now let's turn our follow me sign back on. And now let's try plugging these horizontal and vertical centers of the object back into my text actor. Okay. So that seems to be working, not too bad. I'm going to duck down out the way. So it's always looking for the brightest thing. So if you give it two things, it might get a little mixed up. But generally, we can see that's working okay. This technique is very good. You know, if you can see that I've got a complex background here, there's, you know, some different ambient light over here and windows and pictures in the background and a guitar. So it's a very good way of getting rid of a complex background very quickly, and then just giving you something basic to compare against and highlight that change, which the change is always the presence of a person or the presence of an object. And depending on the context, the circumstance you're trying to track, that will be different. It might depend on the camera position, the room, the lighting. But in a very basic way, we can just update that image. You'll notice as well, I'm going to shift my computer. As soon as I do that, everything, we've got the window that's now light. So if that happens, I'm going to actually, if I shift my camera, I need to update my grab image. There we go. And it can track me again. Okay, so I hope that was useful, and I hope you have fun playing with that. As I said before, it's not an exact science. You've got to play around with it. But hopefully there's enough in this video introduction to make you feel that that's something you can do and have fun with. I'll see you for the next session.